Hello everyone. Today we're going to do multiplying and dividing rational expressions. I already gave you a short introduction of how to do it with rational numbers. Today we're going to do it using rational expressions where there are variables and exponents and all that other things. So let's have a quick example with just multiplying or dividing simple expressions. Let's start with this example. It's 3r to the second power n to the third divided by 5t to the fourth, and we want to multiply that by 20t squared over 9r to the third n. So take a look at the problem, and we know that we're doing a multiplication right there. And so we know we have to multiply across the top and across the bottom. Now you can do this two ways. You can do this a long way, where you multiply just across the top, so that would be 3 times 20 is 60. Then you're going to put r squared n to the third t squared over here. And then you're going to also do 5 times 9, which is 45. And then you're going to do t to the fourth times r to the third times n over here. You can do it that way and then simplify after that. So let's do it that way, and let's see what we have. So you have 60 r squared n to the third t squared over 45. Let's write r to the third first, n, and then t to the fourth, right? Now, of course, this is the product, but you have to simplify that. So how do you simplify that? You're going to cancel common factors. So we are going to take out common factor from 60 and 45. What number divides both 60 and 45? I would say the greatest common factor is 15, because 15 go into 60 and 15 go into 45. So 60 divided by 15 is a 4. 45 divided by 15 is a 3. So that simplifies to a 3. R squared and r to the third. 2 minus 3 is negative 1, but that negative 1 is on numerator. So when you cancel that out, you're left with r to the first power in the denominator. And then n to the third divided by n. So 3 minus 1 is n squared right here on the numerator. So this cancels out. And then t squared divided by t to the fourth, you would have t squared in the denominator. So this cancels out, that would be t squared. So your final answer is going to be in simplest form would be 4. And this is n squared divided by 3. You still have one r, and you have t squared. So 3r t squared. Right, so that's your answer when you multiply this rational expression by this. Now, if you want to do it the shorter way, you can do that too. You can always cancel out any common factors from the numerator or denominator, either this way or that way. So let's do that. If you have that, why don't we write this problem again so that you see it clearly. If we do that, we see that between 5 and 20 there is something common, right? Common factor there is 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. You also see that between 3 and 9 there is a common factor. The common factor is 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then let's look at the variables. Notice that there's an r squared there, and there's an r squared also in this denominator right here. So when you cancel that, that's going to be r squared cancels out. You only have one r left here. Let me circle that so I know there's something left there. And then with the n's, you have n to the third there and then n here. So that all of this n cancels. You only have 2 left here. So that will be n squared. And then you have a t squared that will cancel with this t to the fourth. So all of these t squared cancel out. This one would be just t squared. All right, so let's figure out what's left after we've canceled common factors. in terms of the numbers, you have 1 times 4, which is 4. In terms of the variable, you have n squared left on the numerator. That's all that's left on the numerator. The denominator, you have 1 times 3, which is 3. And then you have t squared and the r. Now, normally we write this variable first because r comes before the t. So let's write that first, r t squared. So you see that even though you're using two different methods, you still end up with the same answer. So I'm giving you an option to decide which method you want to do. You want to multiply across the top and then simplify later, or you want to simplify from here. That's up to you, whatever works for you. All right? Let's have another example. This time let's do something with trinomials and binomials. X squared minus 2x minus 35 divided by x squared minus 5x minus 14. And we want to multiply that by 4x squared plus 8x divided by x squared minus 25. Now, a word of caution, you can't cancel these x squareds out, not this x, and then you try to cancel 35 and 14. You can't do that because these are terms, they're not factors. You can only cancel common factors. So what we're going to do is, because we can only cancel common factors, we have to factor this expression, all the expressions in this rational expression. So let's start with this. This is a trinomial. We are going to factor this numerator here. Factors of x squared are x and x. And then think about factors of negative 35. That's possibly going to be a negative 2. I can think of 7 and 5. And because it's negative 35, one of them has to be negative. The other one has to be positive. If you check, that will be negative 7x plus 5x, which is negative 2x. Let's factor the denominator here. This would be, again, factors of x squared are x and x. And then think about factors of negative 14. That's going to make a negative 5 when you add. I can think of 7 and 2 for 14. One of them has to be negative, so I can get a negative 5. So I will have negative 7 and positive 2. Again, if I check, negative 7 plus 2 is a negative 5. So we're done factoring this numerator and this denominator. Let's factor this side here. 4x squared plus 8. Notice that there is a common factor here of 4x, right? So we're going to factor out the common factor 4x and divide each one of those terms by this. So 4x squared divided by 4x is x, plus 8x divided by 4x is a 2. And then we divide that and factor this one. This is the difference of two perfect squares, and this factors out as simply x plus 5 and x minus 5. Again, it doesn't matter whether you put the plus first or a minus first. So now, since everything is factored, we can start canceling common factors. I can see these two are common factors, so I can cancel that out. I can also see that x plus 5 is common right here, so I can cancel that out too. And I also see that x plus 2 is a common factor. I cancel that out too. All right? So what's left after I cancel the common factors out is 4x over x minus 5. Now I can't cancel the x's because, again, this is a term. Although x is a factor here, x is a term here, so I can't cancel those out. So then that's going to be my final answer. All right? Let's have another example. This time let's do divide, because we've done two multiplication problems. Let's try dividing. Let's try to divide x squared plus 8x plus 16. Divide that with 2x minus 2, and then divide that fraction by x squared plus 2x minus 8 over x minus Now, we said earlier that when you're dividing fractions, what that happens is the first the first expression stays, but the second expression, you change the division to multiplication, but the second expression, you have to get the reciprocal of that. So you have to flip that. The reciprocal, this would be x minus 1 over x squared plus 2x minus 8. All right? So when that happens, now we're back to doing whatever we were doing in example 2, which is multiplication. So it's again, same thing. We have to factor because we can only cancel common factors. So let's factor the numerator here. This would be factors of x squared are x and x. Factors of 16, that's going to give me an 8. I can think of 4 and 4, and they should be both positive. So I'm going to have plus 4 and a plus 4. In the denominator, I can see there's something common between 2x and 2, and that is 2. So I'm going to factor that 2 out. I am going to have x minus 1. I'm going to multiply that. X minus 1 right here in the numerator here can't be factored anymore, so that stays as x minus 1. This denominator factors out. Since it's a trinomial, this factors out. What are factors of x squared? It's x and x. What are factors of negative 8? That's going to give me a 2. I can think of negative 4 and positive 2. Or I can think of, 4 and 2. But then I need to get a positive 2. So I need to make a 4 a positive and the 2 a negative. So 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And then when I add that, 4x minus 2x is positive 2x. Now, since everything is factored, I can start canceling common factors. What are common factors? I can see that x plus 4 is common. I can also see that x minus 1 is common with this. And I think that's all I can cancel. So then your final answer will be just x plus 4 left in the numerator. And in the denominator, you have 2. And then you still have this x minus 2. And then that is my final answer, since I can't simplify that anymore. All right? So again, if you have any questions, you should have made note of that in your notes. And then we're going to discuss all your questions when we come back together.